Happy Veterans Day to all my fellow brothers and sisters of service, because I served over 10 years in the U.S. Air Force as a systems engineer, IT expert, working on top level computer systems that supported everything from the Air Force, all the other branches of service, all the government agencies, NATO, you name it, I probably did it. Today, coffee is my medicine. What is on your self-love care list? What are you doing that's good for you? What are you doing that supports you? Are you grateful for your life? And how are you taking care of you first so that you can also fill your cup, serve it up, and assist and support others? Because if we don't have a full cup, how can we expect to be able to pour into others? When your cup is empty, there's got to be someone else who's going to show up to serve you and fill you up as well. This is actually the whole purpose of humanity. Humans in unity, coming together to support one another, that when I'm feeling down, I can turn to someone who can turn my frown upside down into a smile. Changes, ebbs and flows, and then you reciprocate and you give it back, you pay it forward. This is what life is really about, isn't it? And as a veteran in my past life, because I have had many, I am a Leo, so I'm a cat, I've had many lives. The reality is, as a veteran, we give, we serve. It's often, for many of us, something that just comes naturally. It's a part of who we are. We don't know how not to give, to try to help, to volunteer, to be a part of community, because that is in us. I speak for myself, my personal experience, of course. But the majority of my veteran brothers and sisters, even when they get out of the service, are constantly seeking opportunities to give back, to continually volunteer, to be a part of something that gives back to them in their heart. We're not talking about give to get. We're talking about something that naturally just happens and occurs. You know, it's something as simple as you meet someone out on the street and they need a couple of coins. You know, you give them a little bit of money, something so simple. If you have it, you give it. But in any time you're giving and you have even the slightest rub, animosity, sense of obligation, you should not be doing it, because it should come naturally. It should be a part of who you are, not that pulling it out of you or force. It's just like power is within each and every one of us, the power to choose, the willpower behind what we do has to begin in the heart. And if it doesn't come from your heart and it's starting up in your head, you've already set the wrong foundation of your life. And the majority of people who are living their lives in dis-ease and discomfort have been going through motions that are lodged up in their head, creating dis-ease in the body, when they weren't aligned heart in head. It's like, can you drop out of your head into your heart and recognize this is integrity, this is not. Discern from what you learn in your life, because every experience is there to teach us, to uplift us, to remind us, that feels really good when I do that. Do more of that. That doesn't feel so good when I do it. Then stop doing it. It really is that simple. But if you're living your life out of obligation, there's nothing in integrity with that. And it's a fine line, because many of us, yes, we have obligations to people. But if you can drop into your heart, you can turn that into a blessing for you and everyone involved. Maybe you don't feel like doing something one day. You know, a lot of us, we have to do things we don't like. Do it with a sense of love and purpose anyway. See it as a blessing. Bless the experience by dropping into your heart again. I'm doing this because I love, period. not a person, not a thing or a purpose. It's I just love. I am an expression of love. The fact that you're able to do should be where you drop into gratitude. Your ability to do things for yourself or others is a huge blessing in itself. It's a blessing of being a human. We humans are, by nature, nurturing. So of course we want to give to see others happy. We want to uplift others. The only time you don't want to do something for another is because you are living in lack. You're in a fear mentality, a victimhood. I don't have enough, so you withhold. But do you know the more you give, the more you get back? That's the natural movement and flow of energy. It's meant to stay in motion. And when you hold on to something, you withhold yourself. It's not just talking about money. That's just another expression. Whatever you withhold becomes your poison. What you give is medicine. What you give is alchemy, transforms, changes the whole trajectory of your life and everyone around you. The more you're giving out of your heart, the more pours in, the more pours out. It's just this ebb and flow, this beautiful, natural, divine dance of nature. It is in your nature to nurture, and it has to come from within, because if it's coming from the head, it will get you in trouble every time. The heart will never lead you astray. It's the head that gets in the way. Body language. Simple. When you see people who got their head jutted out here, they're living in anticipation of something in the future. People way back here, they're stuck in their past. If you can stand tall and keep that heart lifted, let your heart lead. This is how I teach my yoga classes. When you make a movement in a class with me, I will remind you every single time, keep the head, ears over the shoulders, shoulders over the hips. Lift the chest and the heart up to the chin. Don't let the chin drop to the heart. The heart's really meant to lead us. The head's just there to observe, to witness. Oh, there's an obstacle coming up ahead. There's a life or death situation over there. Oh, I see a friend over there. Happy heart, right? You can look at the negative, you can see the positive. Where attention goes, energy flows, and that's what you're going to draw in and attract. So, drinking my coffee, my medicine, because it makes me happy. I started out my day, I woke up a little later than I anticipated. I was running a little late. It's okay. I'm still in gratitude anyway because the universe loves me, and I know that. And for me, I can't be more appreciative than I am in this moment, because I see the magic, the miracles that have happened in my personal life, that I don't doubt it anymore. That no matter what, I can choose to see the blessing in a lesson, or I can choose to pout, to whine, to bitch and moan, to complain, to look for people to pull into my drama, because that's how trauma operates. That is really exhausting, by the way, and it's very much aging. Haven't you ever noticed? The happiest people, they look the most vibrant and youthful. The more stressed out a person is, it shows in their body, in their face, in their mannerism, their tightness, their stiffness, their speech, all of it. So what do you think? Everybody's shit shows. Maybe it smells like roses. Maybe it smells really bad. And most often you're not going to notice your own if you're so deep in it. But it's really easy to see everybody else's stuff, and that's just a distraction too. You have to be very mindful of the divine comedy of life, the way that duality is a trap. Whenever you're looking outside of yourself, you're going without. You are neglecting the present. The present is you being in the moment. You are the gift. The more present you can be with you, the more you can show up as a gift for everyone too. And right now I'm watching a hornet that just came in the house. He'll find his way out. I trust that. You need to go down and out. There's no nest up there. Nature. Nature shows up and shows you, here's a totem, go look it up. What does that totem represent for you? There's a message in it for you. I will look up the hornet when I'm done. But on my way to the yoga studio, as I was running late, I had the two birds just drop in my path. Literally, one came up on my left, the other came down on my right. And they met off to the side. And whenever I see the white birds, I know that spirit just getting my attention, bringing me to the present, that I know I'm being watched over. This is how I interpret because I know my life. And the birds, to me, they speak to me. They bring me back to the present and to listen, to go within. And from the moment I saw that, I said, thank you, universe. I appreciate you. You always got my back. Sometimes when I'm driving my car, the birds are just telling me, slow it down. There's an obstacle or something up ahead. Usually they actually warn me about cops on the road that are looking to pull people over. Yes, it's crazy like that, but I'm grateful for it. And in that moment, I was going off of a list. I had a litany of I'm so grateful. I love my fucking life. My life is so blessed. This was me driving to the studio. I am so grateful that even though I'm running late, I'm going to make it to my destination. That I know sometimes I'm delayed in my days, and what people don't see is that maybe it's a little bit much, maybe it's a struggle for me to get out of the door, and that's me owning that, because I know I could have said, I'm going to be late, I'm not going to go. But see, I still push myself out the door, because that might be the only exercise I get all day. Well, okay, I'm going to walk buddy, don't get me wrong. But I mean, my time for me is to go do that work on the mat, in the room, with a group, a community, collective, because when you join energies in community, when you are going to an in-person class, that's amplified. And whatever intentions you set, you are held and supported. This is why I love teaching. This is why I am so passionate about community and humans in unity, because we are stronger together. That the more we come together for a common goal and purpose, we set the intention, it's that much more amplified. Like when we do group prayer, setting intentions, all of that is felt. You can't deny it, because there have been scientific studies. The power of prayer, emoto on the water, praying over the water and seeing the structure, the crystalline structure change. Your words matter. They cast spells. They influence the energies, in you especially. Whether you speak them out loud or you're saying them in your own mind, you yourself are creating a story that is a manifestation in your life. So if you keep telling the same story, using the same challenging, hard, difficult, I can't, I'm not, I'm limited words, you're creating more of that. The more that you can be present to the gift of your now, the more you can recognize there are blessings and gifts always around you. It's a flip of the switch of perception and what you're looking for. You can turn around and you can find the good in anything or the bad. See, the more you're looking for it, the more you'll find it. And I had a period of my life to where I recognized how much I could always find things wrong. Gosh, I could find everything wrong in a situation, because if I started out my day in a bad mood, I noticed it was like it was like domino effect. How did my day start? Where did that really originate? Was it just a bad thought that you turned into a bad life or a bad day? You have to really check your mind. This is why meditation is so important. If you're not mindful of your own thoughts, your subconscious thoughts that are running your program, running your life, then yeah, you're a victim of your own circumstances because you created them. And everything begins up in the mind, which isn't always so kind. But we ourselves have to start with compassion for ourselves. You can't give what you don't got. You can't give another compassion unless you have it for yourself. You can try to play the martyr and do the whole, I'm here, I got to take care of all these other people. but the only one who's really suffering is you. And in order for people to treat you a certain way, you also have to be demonstrating that so that they can follow your lead. Lead by example. How you take care of you is how others show up to you. So as I started this, again, Veterans Day, and the irony is I've been sitting with this whole identity politics for at least a week now. I've been reflecting upon this, that identity politics really actually is very much harmful. It's destructive, and here's why. Because we all want to connect. It's a basic human need. There are three main, there's actually the basic 5 human needs. We all want to feel connection. We all want to feel love. We want to feel supported. We want to feel certainty. And we need uncertainty in our lives. And then we want to be able to contribute and grow and also have a spiritual element there. But most of us, and I'm speaking from my personal experience, will get caught up in our personalities and never recognize where those even came from. We have influences, and our identities come from those people we admired the most, those people we associate with the most, and also the circles we run in. If you are hanging out with people that don't align with your heart and soul, your vision, your integrity, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're lying to yourself. Is that really who you are? This is like a check that we all have to do at different periods of our lives. Like, are you hanging with people? You know, as they say, you can't fly and soar like the eagle if you're hanging out with a bunch of turkeys. And I know this past year has really challenged relationships across the board. Doesn't mean significant others. I'm talking family, friends, group circles, social environments, work environments, spiritual circles, all of it. We're all like, hey, here's your shit in your face. These are the people you've been hanging out with, and now this is who they really are, because all of us got poked and provoked this past year and a half, to the point where you started to see what people were most fearful of and where people felt the most confident and secure in their lives, in your own life specifically. In my life, I realized some of my fears around, you know, my contribution. Again, I'm going back to the veteran. I'm a veteran, so I am always giving. I was doing that long before I was in the service. And it's who I am, and I'm never going to stop being who I am in that respect, that I am here to serve, to give. But over the course of my life, I've also had to learn where it's not appreciated and not to force. Yeah, that sounds a little funny. It's like, well, that sounds counterintuitive. Like, why would you force yourself on someone trying to help someone or fix or give or whatever? But the thing is, when you have a bit of a naivete, and I have since I was a child, that, well, they need help. So, you know, but sometimes we think we know how that looks, or we give them something and they don't appreciate it, and then we feel depleted because it wasn't reciprocated or whatever. And sometimes we don't even realize we hold this expectation that if I give, I'll get something in return. And I don't mean always like, well, I did something for you, you need to do something for me. Not the blatant, but there is an element of that natural reciprocity that is nature nurturing humans in unity. That when we give to another, we want to feel valued. So the receiving end could just be as simple as feeling they really appreciated it. Not just like, you're just, you know, you're only good when I want you kind of feeling. So when I say that, I don't mean you have to get something in return. It's the sensation and the feeling of alignment with your heart and soul. Are you giving to someone who truly appreciates you? Are you doing it for that level of acceptance, inclusion, to belong, connection? That's where we go back to the basic human needs. So For me, I have a Libra rising, so I'm always trying to seek balance. I am the peacekeeper. I am the one who wants to make sure everyone's taken care of. And I have also been the sacrificial lamb in a lot of situations where the way I've learned how to treat others is how I have been treated in my life, how I have been neglected or disregarded or abandoned or rejected in my life. And that because of my experiences in life, especially when I was in the military, I knew I did not like the way that felt. I would never do that to another person. So because I had an experience, I took that as a lesson to carry forward and pay forward, that I would never treat anyone that way because that did not feel good to me. That was very harmful. It was very hurtful. And that's one thing that I never forget, because I've learned from my own personal experience that we all want to feel valued. We all want to feel that we matter. And when you don't feel you matter to someone, unfortunately, you actually sometimes have to say, it's not in alignment with my heart and soul, and I need to walk away. You can still love people, and you can hold them at a certain level, arm's distance, or maybe you don't even associate with them anymore, but you have to choose what's right for you. Because everyone in your life will serve different roles. You will have your inner circle, your close-knit friends, the people you know you can turn to, you can count on, you can pick up the phone. You will have your gardener, you will have your electrician, your plumber, your friends, your family, people you associate with. Not everybody's your best friend. Don't share all of your personal details with everybody, because I believe there's a lot of people out there that have still gotten hurt because they wanted everybody to be in that circle and never really just accepted that those people are not worthy of that circle. They don't belong in that circle. I know for myself it was like, ah, darn, you know, that stinks. I was kind of hoping I could take you along for the ride kind of deal. That's how I operate. Like, if we jive and we're in alignment, I want you to come along for the ride. I want you to enjoy this life with me. But then I have to also be humble and go, wow, not everybody is meant to go with me on my path and my journey, and that's okay. I've had a lot of people come and go in my life, and I'm okay with that. I've had a lot of life experiences. Just being in the military is a whole nother life, and I have to remind myself, not everybody's had that kind of experience. Not everybody can say they had that life. And that can be humbling too for me, because I know when people look at me, they don't always see me as a veteran. They don't see me as the person who served in the military. Honestly, especially in the spiritual community, especially teaching yoga, I have so many people who just assume I must be some gypsy. I know this because I also stopped to think, how would I think of me if I didn't know me? And I know not everybody knows me, and I have to be like, okay, so don't assume. You know what assuming does? Makes an ass out of you and me. So if I recognize that somebody doesn't know who I am, it's because that's only me. Only I can know who I am. My closest friends and family do. The people who have known me the longest, some of which still haven't heard all of my stories or know that much about me. But isn't that the beauty about getting to know someone you love? There's always an element of surprise. And I am that kind of person because I love surprises. And I like to give surprises. I actually don't like the obligatory birthdays and holidays. Holy days. They're not holy days. They're holidays. Casting spells. Because I like to do things spontaneously. I like to surprise people with a gift. I like to celebrate people's birthdays, but even those feel sometimes a little bit tense, because then you feel obliged, like I have to give you something. Where maybe I want to give you something all the time at different spontaneous times. But this is the beauty of relationships. We're learning that how we relate to another ultimately is how we relate to ourselves. I know I like to give gifts. I like to spend time. These are love languages. These are simple things to figure out. What is it you do for others? Because essentially that usually means that's how you would like to be done for, right? So yes, one of my love languages is I love gifts. I love spontaneous gifts, and I like time and affection. Those are my 3 main love languages. Not everybody can speak the same love language, and you also have to recognize that with people. And if you do notice that somebody doesn't know and you want them to know, you can tell them. Be willing to be courageous and vulnerable about who you are with those you care about in your circle. If someone is not in your circle and you divulge yourself to them and you find out, wow, they're not part of my inner circle, honor that, recognize and grieve over it. It doesn't mean they're out of your life. You can still have them in your life, but that just means they're not somebody to put your heart in their hands. Because if someone isn't holding you where you need to be held, those aren't the people you would place your heart in their hands. That's something to really, that's the true test for me. Would I entrust my heart in your hands? Could I safely feel safe placing my heart in your hands without you repeating what I say, without you speaking ill of me, without you harboring any judgment toward me? That's a huge test for me, because I know over the course of my life, and I've met a lot of adversity in my life, and see, that's been my biggest teacher, is the adversity I have experienced has taught me that not everybody sees me in a good way. And it's a lot of judgment and a lot of projection. And I can honor that. It's not my truth. It's not my place to fix or heal them in their stuff. I am pretty solid with where I am in my life right now. And I'm much softer in my approach and my speech and my way of handling things. There are times when I do lose my cool, but I own it. Even in the moment, if I get upset and I'm emotional, I may keep on speaking, I may elevate my voice, but I will say, right now, I am very upset, I am very emotional, and I'm owning that. Meaning, it should not be twisted and turned around on me, because that's gaslighting. It should not be used against me in any light, because if I'm being vulnerable, even if I am elevating my voice, I'm sharing how I feel. I want to be held. And maybe the person isn't the person to hold me. And if I do it anyway, then I recognize the truth in the situation. And I've had this happen over the course of my life, especially this past year and a half. I've had people drop out of my life just based on, wow, I didn't realize you don't love me the way I thought I was lovable. How about that? It's very humbling, because you can hold someone on a pedestal and recognize that maybe that wasn't your place to do. Or you can assume someone has your best interest and cares about you, when in reality, maybe they're envious and jealous of you, or that they really don't like you. And I'll be straight up. I would rather know you don't like me than you fake the funk. Now, there's a kind way to present that, because I recently had a harsh encounter with it, and I'm okay with it, because it was very liberating, it was very freeing, and recognizing that the other person really just doesn't like me, and that's okay. Because when you know, at least you know where you stand. I would rather know where I stand than someone lie to me and fake the funk around me. And I am a hard person to tolerate that kind of behavior, because when I lose respect for you, it's very challenging for me to keep eye contact. And I do admit, this brings me to my grandmother on my dad's side. I think that's an element of her in me, because she could get this harshness to her body, and also my mom too. Yes, Mom, I feel you. It's like your composure, your physiology is more like, yeah, you. I fucking see you. You don't like me? I don't have a problem with that. I can still stand here. I won't feel as uncomfortable as the other person. Now, I have encountered in my body times when I feel the zzz, like in certain areas. And when I notice that, then it's like, okay, I lean into that. My inner child doesn't feel supported here. What do I need to work with on this? I mean, because that's what we're meant to do, is to really tap into what it is we feel, so that the energy can keep moving and we're not holding on to a grudge or an expectation or whatever. Whatever you hold on to, it becomes your poison, like I said. What you withhold will actually cause you to degenerate and be your poison. What you give becomes your medicine. And each one of us in this world came here to deliver something, came here to manifest and create and to uplift the world with our only true essence we could ever bring. What you have, I don't have. Although you are a part of me and I am a part of you, and that when you think about God's source being manifested in each one of us, a different aspect, that when we say the words remember, it's two words, a conjugation, again, repeat, rejoin, member. We're all members of source. We're all drops in the ocean. We're all the ocean. So when we come in together, we interact and we engage, we are actually medicine for one another, because we're remembering, we're joining our energies. So source comes together. Now think about this. When we come together in community, we're becoming that more powerful aspect of God, of source, to create the bigger effect in the world. That's why humans in unity is so powerful, because we are of source, of creation, of God. Recognize the other as you, because they are an aspect of God. Recognize God in all, because if you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. And the more of us that come together, which is why I'm so passionate about community, humans in unity, the more of us that come together with the same intention, the more powerful we are in the world. Sit with that, because that is a concentration of God's source in one place, which is why it is something that has been ritualized and harvested of our energy when we go to sporting events, concerts, any large gathering. Wherever the attention of that crowd is going, the energy is flowing, it's being harvested. What do we really, really want to create in this world, people? Where can you focus? What kinds of communities and groups can you make and create together? More of a cohesive, human's nature is to nurture. How can we nurture that more? Instead of getting caught up in the doom and the gloom, which is so easy to perpetuate, because that feeds off of the lower vibrations, that feeds off the fear. We don't want to feed that. What we really want is to create the momentum of the nurturing, the momentum of expansion, growth, spiritual connection, the healing. When you heal yourself, and you do this with community, it's more powerful, because you're healing those aspects of God that came down here to manifest and to play out these roles, these parts. And each one of us, I like to say, is like a cipher, and we're unlocking each other's codes. So the more we do come together, and yeah, when you met with the adversity is the biggest blessing and gift to you, because it's creating the momentum and the shift in you. It's unlocking that code to present you who you truly are. And that is what I have always felt since I was a little girl, that we forgot, and we're here to remember that the true purpose of us all being here is to remember, to rejoin, to become one once again. And that the more we heal, we unlock each other's codes, the more that remember, that in itself will unlock your gifts. And you will one day be waking up going, wow, I just thought that, and there it is. I'm hearing the thoughts of my friend because they're communicating with me. They don't even have to pick up the phone. On my way to the studio, I had had a dream about my girlfriend, Natalia. Who do you think I saw when I got to the studio? I'm like, yeah, see, you can't make this stuff up. I'm always picking up on the subtleties. And that the thoughts of gratitude pouring through and me writing the list. Of course, wouldn't you know that the class I took was themed around opening the heart and gratitude. That it takes intention to keep that momentum, to turn adversity into a reality of your personality, and that is not your identity. To recognize that it polishes you like a diamond, that adversity is there to slough off the stuff that isn't you. That's all adversity is an opportunity for you to grow. It's not there to victimize you. And if you get caught up in that, again, that's stuck energy. Energy is meant to stay in motion. It's not there to be held onto. Because that's what hurts us the most, is when we hold on to things that aren't even ours. And energy has its own life. You know, there's a life of its own there, and you're holding on to something that doesn't even belong to you. People, places, things, thoughts, actions, inactions, all of it. The true gift of life is when you present yourself and put yourself out there. Despite any, I have this expectation, I'm anticipating the worst case scenario, because what you anticipate, you create. So why not focus on the positive? Focus on what you want to create, what you want to anticipate. Because you are the master manifester of your life, and you get to choose at every stage, every moment. Now, this moment here is the gift. This is the blessing. And there's so much you can look back on and go, wow, I now see the lesson. I now understand why I had to have that experience. When I started this video, what I wrote down and what I was going to discuss was just, the beauty and the gratitude I have for my family. I come from a military background, not a heavy, strong gung-ho. My parents weren't military, but both of my grandfathers were both in the service. My dad's dad, I only knew him for the first year of my life as an infant. He was in the Army, and he served, and he brought back beautiful vases from Japan and a samurai sword. My grandfather on my mom's side, who I was much closer with, my grampy, he served in the Navy, and also on, I think it was the USS Washington. And I was much closer to him. And I had an aunt that told me that me and my cousin, and I was reflecting upon this, my cousin Stephen, who was the inspiration for me going into the service. He was in the Air Force, and he's a few years older than I am. And because of him, I chose to go in the Air Force. And because my mother suggested I speak to the recruiter. And ironically, he's also a Leo, and he was doing IT as well. Both of us very much into the fitness. I was going, wow, wait a minute. I'm just now seeing, I'm connecting dots. How much I admired my cousins. My other cousin, his older brother, Irish twin, John Scott, was in the Army. And then my uncle, Danny, was in the Marines. He was a top wrestler in New England. And the memories I have are just crazy stuff, but gratitude for the inspiration, because I saw what I wanted to be. And our identities are reliant upon those we admire, who we hang around, because not always are you hanging around with people who are in alignment with you. Sometimes we hang out with people because of our environment, and we would never choose them in our lives in any other given situation. Start to pay attention more about the people in your circles. Are they just, they're just an associate, an acquaintance? See, that's a word that's not used very often. Oh, my friend. Everybody says my friend. Do you mean your acquaintance? Because a true friend is someone you can pick up the phone when you need them, is there for you. You can trust and place your heart in their hands. An acquaintance is someone you see from time to time, like at the yoga studio, I pass this person by, or that person I see at the coffee shop every once in a while, or your neighbors or something. There's a huge difference. And I think that we forget. We think everybody's going along for the ride with us. Some of us are those kinds of people. We're people pleasers, or we want to make sure that everybody's taken care of. But just pay attention to who's really truly in your inner circle. Are they your friends, acquaintances, comrades, co-workers? Oh, there's a good one. How many of you out there hang out with people you work with? You would never hang out with them or choose them in your life any other time, would you? Or maybe you go to bars. You know, when I lived in Italy, I'll never forget. I used to go down to the Baretti, which was happy hours, the walking distance of my home down in the Chiaia area, beautiful. And the same people hanging out at the bars. Those were acquaintances. They were the sweetest of people, but they had their vices and addictions, or they wouldn't be there every single night. And sometimes you have to see things outside of the situation to understand. Sometimes you have to have had the experience to look back upon and go, wow, there are a lot of people in my old circles that were not really aligned with who I am. I was driving and also thinking about how I was never meant for the cookie cutter lifestyle, and I know that. I dislike having to jump in a car and have to drive long distances to get to a location where I'm going to work, or even to go to the gym or to go to the studio. I'm fortunate because I'm within 15 minutes of our yoga studio here, and I planned it that way. I actually bought my house knowing I wanted to be that close. But then my mind is more like, I want to have my own place. I want to be able to step out and have my own studio right within walking distance, and to be able to provide that for others. Like, that is a bigger vision, a bigger picture for me. And because I know I come from a background of extremely smart, talented entrepreneurs, I know that will happen. It took a little longer to get where I'm at today, but this is the purpose of this video. Sometimes we just get caught up in living our life in the mundane, just step by step, going through the motions, habitual. What point do you wake up and go, I don't like this, I'm not happy? This happened to me years ago when I was in the military and working in government contracting, and all of that going through the motions. You know, I got the six-figure job, I was making really good money, I really was successful, and then all of a sudden I was in a hostile working environment. What the hell was I doing trying to force myself to go through that? What was I trying to prove? That's always got to be the question. What are you trying to prove? Is it to yourself, to someone else, to the people you're even associating with? That wasn't who I was. I don't need to force myself in situations. Nobody needs to chase after anybody. If it doesn't come in naturally, and I mean it in a way that there's always going to be some compromise and working through and fine-tuning your communication and your, you know, the way that you interact with people. And also having the conversations, the hard conversations that most people are unwilling to have. Like, when you get in a relationship, be a conscious dater. Are you the type of person who goes into a relationship just like, well, you know, I'll just let them decide, and, you know, maybe he'll choose me, maybe she'll choose me, you know, always waiting for the other person to make the decisions for you? If you're not already making your choice for you, and you're not having the conversation of, hey, here's what I see down the road. If you can't even have those conversations, you need to walk away, because that's not a mature relationship. I remember reading a book by Iyanla Van Zandt years ago, my mother had sent me. There are people we have in our lives that we call in the meantime. What is that? It means, you know, they're not there for permanent, long haul. They're not your life partner. They're in the meantime. They're kind of like a transitory person. You know, eventually you're going to outgrow them and move on. Or maybe it's a placeholder, a temporary fix. You know there's a message there, a lesson in that relationship, so you allow it to endure. But you know it's not the long haul. You know it's not the life partner. Pay attention to that. There's a message and a blessing in it all. Every relationship, every single person serves us. Again, I am your medicine and you are mine. Don't hold on to your medicine and poison yourself. What you withhold will also harm you. And when you are over-identifying with any group, that's also destructive and harmful. And why I say this is because so many times we want to feel like we can belong. Again, we're going back to those 5 basic human needs. We want to be able to relate to other people. But if we don't know who we are, how do we know that those people are even aligned with us? And then we have the drama and the trauma, and everybody loves it when you jump on the bandwagon of, oh, woe is me misery, right? If you are a commiserator, you are in your misery, and you just want to bitch, moan, and groan. Plenty of people out there for that. But there is nothing constructive about it. It's very destructive. And that's like the old school stuff of like, that's stuff that needs to be cleaned up. If you're still in that life of feeding off of the drama and creating more trauma, that's not healing. That's actually harming. Harming yourself, because when you speak ill of another, that's actually a self-inflicted harm. But also because even if you don't have that person around you're talking about, that person feels it. I know, I've been on the receiving end. I've had people talk shit about me. I'm okay now. Now I know how to take that energy and just go like, hey, let's make it constructive. Let me harness that. Because it's not about me. And that's what alchemy is. Self-love is recognizing that I can turn that lead into gold, that I can change my adversity into my gift, my strength. That's how I see anything I have encountered that has rubbed up against me has just polished me more to be who I am today. That I'm grateful for every single person who showed up to me to show me who I am more than anything else. And it showed me who they were at the time, and that's perfectly fine. That's beautiful. Even if they couldn't see it, it saved me a whole lot of pain in the process. A whole lot of wasted time just got reclaimed. So if you can recognize, okay, I'm not going to chase after that person. I'm not going to waste my time because they don't value you. You value you. The only time we chase something is when we don't value ourselves and we don't recognize they are not valuing us. Why chase something that wasn't meant for you and that is actually neglecting and rejecting you? Go where you're treated best. Go where you are accepted, you are welcomed, you are honored and treasured because you are a gift, you are the treasure. You are here to give and receive, not just give and not just take, but you are here to equally, divinely dance with nature, divinely live in this life. It's a divine comedy. Find the humor too. Don't poo-poo on everything. Come on, there's humor in it all. Even when you're in the muck, find something funny about it, because in the end, you're going to look back and go, oh my gosh, I got so serious about something that wasn't so serious. See the drama? That's what causes your trauma. Oh my God, did you see what they did to me? I've been there. I'm just speaking from experience. I can be a drama queen, and I have been. But guess what? I would rather be a queen without all the drama. You know, adjust your crowns, ladies, gentlemen. I want to see some more kings out here. I want to see people really standing in their power. I want to inspire you to recognize that you're not here to prove yourself to anybody. That your purpose is in everything you've experienced and taking that and making that, consolidating all of it and recognizing you're whole with it all. That when you have been met with adversity, it brought up all of your purpose. It brought up all of your, wow, look at how much you shine now because you were polished off. When you get a rub, that's actually an opportunity. And that's what uplifts you the most. is when you meet with adversity and you don't try to run, you don't try to chase something or run from it. You just face it and go, wow, I see you. Have those difficult conversations. Find out the truth for yourself and the other or the situation, and just honor it. Stop trying to make it something it's not. Stop trying to force yourself. Stop trying to explain yourself or be understood. See it for what it is. I'd say the biggest pain that most people are unable to accept is the truth of the matter. Not the truth you want it to be, but the truth that exists and it's showing you. Accept it. The sooner you accept it and stop making excuses for it and trying to make it into something it's not or creating stories around it, the sooner, the freer you'll feel and be so that you can live your life intentionally. Hey, Boo. That's my bud. That's my dog. He's a good dog. What a good pupper. So, this is true. It's about intentionality. It's about integrity. It's about who am I? Stop trying to figure other people out. The only reason we try to figure people out, and this is unconscious for most, and it is what is running in the subconscious. When we're trying to figure someone else out, it's really because we're comparing ourselves. So if we think if they can validate you through explaining themselves, that you will get to know yourself through that experience. And that is a truth. And do understand that that's how some people learn about themselves. We all do it. It's like this, you go within, you go without, you learn through interaction. Life is about relationships. Without another person to mirror back to you who you are, it's hard to experience yourself. So when we have these engagements, interactions, again, you heard what I said, we are unlocking each other's code. So when we come together, it's a remembering two parts of the bigger aspect of God coming together into this like beautiful, cosmic, if you could really recognize that, like that in itself. See this picture above me? To me, every time two or more people come together, we join our energies. That's like a cosmic explosion of energy. That is God's source getting more powerful in those concentrated areas. Because that's what we truly are. We are catalysts for one another. We are unlocking each other's ciphers and codes are being revealed. Sometimes it feels explosive because it rubs and it doesn't feel comfortable, but that again is that's the polish. That is the diamond brilliance being brought through. Again, light workers, let me tell you about light workers. We lighten up when we let shit go. I'd rather have someone rub it out of me and let myself be uncomfortable than to take it out on someone and to fake the funk. Because the lighter I am by letting shit go, the more I can light up the world with who I am and what I know. A true light worker is going to shine light on your shit. It's going to take away the shadow because the shadow is going to be brought up and light will be revealed. You have to own and embrace your shadow just as much as you want to embrace your light. You can't just take the good without the bad. They're inclusive. They're parts of the whole. Again, duality is the trap. You can't choose this or that. They are the same. The middle way is the neutrality, is the recognizing that the good and the bad are the same. It's just the imbalance of the polarity. It's the showing you're way over here or way over there on the pendulum of life. If you're hanging and swinging on that pendulum, you're going to be imbalanced at different points in your life. You're going to be out of the neutral space. You got to come back to center. Claim it all, and that's when you'll be whole. If you can sit in your discomfort, then you can sit in it all. Because if you don't like your comfort, what makes you think you can appreciate your discomfort? And your discomfort is what gives way to your comfort. It's the same animal. It's all inclusive. And you need to be whole. So stop fragmenting yourself and dismissing what is part of you. Even when you see another person acting in a way that you're like, I don't like the way that person's acting, that is you too. Recognize the other as you. And if you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. And that's an aspect of you. So the biggest takeaway from all of this, there's so much beauty in the world. Be grateful for it all. Someone rubs you, say thank you. Celebrate that, because what they're doing is giving you an opportunity to heal an old wound. Any trigger that you ever have is simply being served up for an opportunity to heal it. Stop holding on. Let that shit go, homie. And recognize you're worthy of love in all your many facets. Different people, different roles. You have a circle and you have a heart. If you ever question whether or not someone's in your circle, ask yourself this. Would I feel safe to place my heart in their hands? Can I entrust my heart in them? It's a huge truth serum. So much love to all of you. I hope this message reached whoever meant to hear it. And just remember, there's so much beauty in the world and so much to be grateful for. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful for every single person that comes into my life, for unlocking my codes, for helping me to remember and reconnect with God, Source, because we all are parts of God. The different avatars, the different experiences, the different ways God wanted to express through each and every one of us. God bless. So much love. Happy Veterans Day.